Imagine this. You're a fighter pilot in the middle of a chaotic dogfight. Alarms are screaming and an enemy jet is locked on your tail. Or consider this. You're a surgeon in the middle of a critical surgery where 1 millimeter is the difference between life and death. Or picture yourself as an experienced control room operator with a sea of green lights on your board when suddenly one critical amber warning light begins to flash. In each scenario, you are flooded with information and cues all clamoring for your attention. So, how do you quickly decide what's important and what's not? And then, what do you do with all of that information? When you consider these questions, you might justifiably wonder, how do these elite professionals stay so calm and somehow know what to do and always be ahead of the curve? To someone on the outside looking in, it almost seems like a sixth sense, like they're reacting to things before they even happen. But here's the secret. It's really not a gift. It's a skill that you can train. And the key to training someone to perform in situations where the demands are high and information is coming at them a mile a minute is really understanding a mental model called situation awareness. It's the mental engine, if you want to use that term, that separates a novice from a master. So in this video, we're going to break down the 3 levels of this powerful model. And by the end, you won't just get how pilots, surgeons, and top operators do what they do. As a systems engineer, when it comes to high-stakes tasks, you'll have a better understanding of what it takes to design systems to facilitate an operator's situation awareness, and how to design training to help operators shorten the learning curve. You and I might look at a top surgeon or a decorated fighter pilot or a seasoned industrial operator averting a crisis and think, wow, they were just born for this. It's easy to assume that they have some kind of high pressure gene that the rest of us lack, some kind of natural calm, built-in intuition. But that's a myth, and it's a dangerous one, because it convinces us that high performance under stress is something that you have or you don't. But the truth is, their ability to act decisively in complex situations isn't a natural-born trait, it's a skill that's been developed over time. What sets them apart is their ability to quickly recognize which information matters most, connect it to their goals, and draw on past experience to fill in the gaps. In other words, they've learned how to maintain accurate situation awareness under pressure. You can think of situation awareness as being kind of like a mental radar screen of what's going on around you and how it impacts your goals. Is your mental model accurate? Do you understand what's really happening and what's likely to happen next? That picture can be clear or it can be dangerously wrong. And research shows that when situation awareness breaks down, bad things happen fast. This isn't just theory. Dr. Mica Endsley, former chief scientist for the U.S. Air Force, spent decades studying what separated thriving pilots from those who struggled. One of her studies found that a loss of situation awareness was responsible for 88% of aviation accidents caused by human error. The issue wasn't poor decision-making, it was making decisions based on a flawed or incomplete view of reality. On manufacturing floors and in control rooms, lapses in awareness contribute to major safety incidents and costly equipment failures. Accurate, efficient awareness can be developed with the right tools, cues, and habits. And once you know what to look for, the fog starts to lift. Endsley's model of situation awareness has 3 nested levels. Level 1 is perception. It starts with simply noticing what's going on around you. Are you picking up the right signals? If you miss a cue or misread what you see, that's a failure at the first level. Level 2 is comprehension. Once you've noticed something, you need to understand what it means. Can you tell what's important? Can you connect it to your goals? If you don't understand how what's happening around you affects your ability to succeed, that's a breakdown in comprehension. The final level, level 3, is projection. That's where top performers really shine. It's the ability to look ahead and anticipate what's likely to happen next. If you fail to plan for what's coming, you risk being caught off guard or creating problems down the line. Each level builds on the one before it. If you fail to perceive the right cues at level 1, you can't accurately interpret the situation in level 2. And without that bit of understanding, your projections at level 3 will be flawed or, in many cases, impossible. These aren't just steps in a sequence, they're interdependent layers. That's why the goal in any human-system interaction should be to support the user in achieving level 3 projection. When someone's internal radar accurately reflects both the present and the likely future, they're no longer just responding to events, they're actively shaping the outcome of what's going on around them. So now we're going to take a closer look at each one of these levels, how they work, how they fail, and how they can be improved. Now, the first level of situation awareness is level 1, perception. And it's really the foundation of situation awareness. It's all about gathering raw facts from your environment before any analysis, judgment, or decision-making happens. You're simply taking in what's actually in your environment. Think of it kind of like building a mental radar screen. What's in your space? What sounds do you hear? What objects or data points are present? This is your first pass at assembling an accurate mental radar of your surroundings. So let's consider an example. Let's say a fighter pilot. Level 1 perception means monitoring their instrument panel, their altitude, airspeed, their fuel. It's the radar blips, the radio chatter, and the visual scanning outside the cockpit that spots, say, a fast approaching threat. They're not making decisions yet, and that's an important distinction. They're just taking in dozens of data streams at once and loading them into their mental map of the situation. Let's consider a second example. Take a surgeon. For a surgeon, level 1 perception means tracking the patient's vital signs, such as heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen levels. It's noticing the color of tissue, the amount of bleeding, the rhythm of the heart monitor. Every detail feeds into a real-time sensory picture of the patient's condition. They're not diagnosing or intervening yet. They're just building the full landscape of what's happening to the patient right now. Let's consider a third example, a plant operator. Level 1 perception for a plant operator might be catching a faint vibration in a pump that shouldn't be there. It's spotting a pressure gauge that's creeping just a little bit higher than normal. It's hearing the telltale hiss of a valve that isn't seating quite right. They're constantly scanning for subtle deviations from the standard and gathering small clues that something may be shifting beneath the surface. So this isn't about mind reading, it's about noticing what's actually happening right now. Professionals don't just see more, they see more that really matters. They see patterns in the environment that amateurs might miss. Where an amateur might just see a patient resting comfortably or a machine routinely humming along in the case of the industrial operator, an expert is quietly clocking subtle changes. A shift in breathing, a delayed response, a machine sounding just slightly off, for example. Perception, level 1, is the foundation of situation awareness. If you don't notice the right signals, and more importantly, the patterns within them, nothing else can happen. Everything starts with level 1, situation awareness, and without it, level 2 and level 3 can never happen. When it comes to situation awareness, simply gathering information isn't enough. Data without meaning is just noise. So at level 2 of situation awareness, comprehension, that's where the raw observations from level 1 begin to take shape. This is where you interpret what you're seeing, recognizing what's relevant, filtering out what's not, and understanding how it all fits together. It's not just knowing what is happening, but grasping why it's happening and how your ability or how it impacts your ability to act on your goals. This is the real gap between a novice and an expert. A novice sees isolated bits of information. A novice often gets overwhelmed because they don't know how to consolidate all of that information. They see a list of facts with really no clear structure. On the other hand, an expert, by contrast, sees a narrative. They understand how the cues relate to one another and what they reveal about the situation. And not only that, how it all connects to their goal. And that's the important aspect. It's not just the information, it's insight that the experts get, shaped by experience and guided by their objective. In our fighter pilot example, they don't just see 4 radar blips in level 1, they comprehend that those blips moving fast and from opposite directions might signal a classic pincher attack. They combine a low fuel reading with their distance from base and realize, I have 3 minutes of combat time left. What started as scattered data points now form a single urgent truth. I'm being flanked and I'm running out of time. The surgeon doesn't just notice a drop in blood pressure, a rising heart rate, and increased blood in the suction canister from level 1. They comprehend that these signs point to a clear diagnosis: hemorrhagic shock. What looked like a stable case is now anything but. The situation has shifted to critical. The plant operator doesn't just register a vibrating pump, a slowly rising pressure gauge, and a noisy valve. They comprehend that these are warning signs of a downstream blockage. If nothing changes, they understand that the system is headed for a shutdown. What seemed like a normal operation is now a developing crisis. This is really the heart of expert judgment, recognizing patterns not because the facts are obvious, but because their past experience gives meaning to the cues right in front of them. It's level 2 situation awareness is where raw information turns into clarity and action. So now for what I consider to be the coolest aspect of situation awareness, and that's level 3 projection. So level 3 is the highest level of situation awareness. To an outsider, it can be kind of hard to grasp how seasoned professionals can anticipate what's coming and act before everything unfolds. But it's not instinct or luck, it's experience, combined with a clear understanding of the present situation and how similar scenarios tend to unfold. When you know where you are and how you got there, you can often see where things are headed and take action before a problem fully develops. This is the real payoff of situation awareness, and that is the ability to stay ahead of developing problems instead of being blindsided by them. It turns you from a passive responder into a proactive decision maker. I'll say that again because it's very important. It turns you from a passive responder into a proactive decision maker. For instance, the fighter pilot who comprehends the pincher attack now projects the enemy's next move. In 30 seconds, they'll cut off my escape route. If I stay on this course, I'm trapped. Because they can see what's coming, they don't wait. They break hard to the east, disrupting an attack that hasn't even developed yet. They didn't react to the trap. They avoided it before it was even set. For the surgeon, having recognized that the patient is in shock, now they project, at this rate of blood loss, the heart will stop in under 4 minutes. I need to find and clamp the bleed in the next 90 seconds. That projection creates a non-negotiable window. The team now operates with urgency and precision, racing to act before the clock runs out. The plant operator, who understands a failure is imminent, projects if that line isn't cleared in 5 minutes, the pump will seize, and that will shut down the entire line for 12 hours and it will result in major production losses. So instead of waiting for the system to fail, they initiate a controlled shutdown of that loop, reroute the flow, and prevent a small issue from becoming a major disaster. Nothing dramatic happens, and really that's the point. situation awareness isn't a superpower. It's the outcome of disciplined processes. You perceive the facts, you comprehend the story, and you project the future. That is the essence of situation awareness. Perception, comprehension, and then projection of the future state of the environment. Pretty cool. So what can we do with this new knowledge that we have? Really understanding situation awareness is one thing, but building it into the systems people actually use, that's the real challenge, isn't it? Awareness doesn't just start with the user. It starts really with the design of the system that user is using on a daily basis. So here's how we as designers and engineers can create systems that actively support and strengthen situation awareness. The first thing that we can do is design the system to fight information overload. Awareness collapses under clutter. The best systems are subtractive. They highlight what matters when it matters. With clean interfaces, built-in checklists, and workflow integrated procedures that reduce cognitive load and free up attention for what's changing, not necessarily what's routine. The goal isn't to show everything, it's to show the right thing at the right time. The second thing we can do to help our operator is align the operator's mental models with the system. Comprehension depends entirely on how well the system matches the user's way of thinking. If the design forces users to adopt a counterintuitive or unfamiliar mental model, it will fail, especially under pressure. Instead, systems should reinforce the operator's existing expertise using language, structure, and logic that align with how they already interpret their environment and the world. So the third thing that we can do to help our operator achieve level 3 situation awareness is to make critical signals and alarms pop out from the background. So perception isn't just the user's job, it's shared with the system. So our design should help the user notice what's most important by making critical cues and alarms salient. Use contrast, motion, sound, layout, and timing to guide attention without distractions. And when there's an alarm, make sure it's clear and the instructions are non-ambiguous. The goal is to cut through the noise so that, for example, that amber light stands out when it matters most, and that it's not lost in a sea of green and other distractions. The fourth and final thing we can do to help our users is to design for effective feedback. Pilots debrief after every flight, and the systems that they use are built to support that process. A well-designed system should capture key actions, events, and system states to allow for meaningful post-event review. When users can compare what they thought was happening to what actually happened, they can then refine their mental models and adjust what they do and improve their future performance as a result. So let's tie this all together, shall we? The ability to anticipate what's coming and respond to it before it turns into a problem isn't a gift, it's a skill. And like any skill, it has a structure. Perception, comprehension, and projection. These 3 levels form the foundation of expert decision-making under pressure. Really, the real value of Endsley's model of situation awareness isn't how it helps our understanding of how people perform in complex systems. It's how that model can help inform us as engineers how we can best design the systems around our users. A skilled human factors engineer uses these 3 levels to build interfaces, workflows, and tools that actively support situation awareness. From displays that highlight critical cues, to processes that aid comprehension, to layouts that help users anticipate systems changes, a well-designed system makes it easier for people to stay focused, make timely decisions, and remain both efficient and safe under pressure. So if this video gave you a new tool for your design toolbox, and helped you think more clearly as a human factors engineer, I'd love to hear your perspective, and I mean that sincerely. What's a system in your world that does a great job supporting operator awareness? Or maybe on the other hand, what's one that falls short and needs serious redesign? The best way that you can support this channel and the way the YouTube algorithm works recently is through engagement. You can post in the comments, and that is quite literally the best thing that you can do to help this channel grow, and that is by engaging with me. And I will respond to your comments. Ask your questions. Share your stories. I will engage with you. I would love to hear from you. And give a like and subscribe. That can never hurt either. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at the next video. Take care.